to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. I'm just laughing there. Vince bopping away in the background of that tune. It's good to see you, lads. Welcome to Darren, welcome to Vince, to George, and to Kevin. And Darren, first up, have you got over that draw at Bournemouth? I mean, we did match day live, of course, on Saturday together. But have you got over it, mate?
I got over in 2 minutes, Steve, to be fair. Like, yes, we drew. Yes, it didn't play well. But we kind of play great every game. And I'm not scoring goals. But we're way ahead of schedule compared to last season. We're going to have a blip. Unfortunately, we are. We're down to the bare number. Like, not the bare bones, but if Woodwick's out, that's one in. Bruno suspended. Joe Litton. Now he's been telling calm down. He can't do it. Now he can't do a tackle if he plays on Saturday against Liverpool because that yellow card could come. He can't play in the final.
No, I don't think it affects the final. There was a lot of mixed messages flying around about that. But yeah, we'll confirm this on Saturday evening. That if he gets booked against Liverpool, it doesn't count towards the final. It doesn't count in that competition.
No. Oh, right. Thank God for that then.
So he can play Saturday.
Right, champion. So that's even better. That's more relief, isn't it? Because you need Joe Linton to put a foot in on against the Scousers on Saturday because they've got to get revenge after them, don't we?
No, I.
Well, my mindset really, and I put a video out about it the other day, is I would play a few of the fringe players on Saturday. I think this unbeaten run is a bit like it's a nuisance around our neck. I think there's a lot of pressure, and might not be Eddie Howe, but certainly I think the players are proud of it, and rightly so. But I genuinely feel that what they should be doing is, focusing all their intentions on the cup. And I know Eddie Howe takes one game at a time. He's got to be looking at that cup final now and saying, this is a chance to become legends in Newcastle for forever. And we haven't had a domestic trophy since 1955. That should be the focus. A defeat against Liverpool at home in the Premier League, letting them do the double over us, isn't the end of the world. And I'm not saying go in with a defeatist attitude and go in to lose that game. What I'm saying is give the fringe players a chance. We might need them at Wembley the following week. We might need to rely on a Ryan Fraser or a Matt Ritchie or a Elliot Anderson at Wembley because there could be an injury. There could be there could be a tweak. We've had a couple at the weekend. We don't know what the situation is with those players. But for me, in a game against Liverpool, which isn't going to make or break our season, I would seriously consider, resting maybe a Kieran Trippier and putting in young Ashby, resting one of those midfield players and giving Elliot Anderson 90 minutes. Gordon can't play in the final. Give Gordon a start at the weekend and rest ASM. For me, or Miggy Almiron, one of the two, but don't go out with your full strength squad on Saturday. That's my feeling. And as a fan, I want to see Newcastle lift that trophy at Wembley a week on Sunday. And that's just the way I feel. What's your views on that, Darren? And as you can tell, I've got strong views.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, Steve. I'm kind of with you on that because I would take the defeat and win the cup. I would. Do you know what I mean? Like, see,
you can't stick a Champions League place in a trophy cabinet, Darren.
Pardon?
You can't stick a Champions League place or an unbeaten run in the trophy cabinet.
Exactly, Steve. Like I say, I'll take. I do think Eddie Howe's behind the scenes has got a list on Man U, and he's probably been watching last night how they play. Be watching all the time because they're live on Sky. Best part of the week, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like they're playing midweek in Barcelona, I believe. New River Cup. And they play on Sunday against Leicester and then Barcelona again. And there's also they've got 3 games. He'll be watching them. He's that sort of man. He'll behind the scenes. He'll be watching me getting a list how to play. But I would rest players 100% on Saturday. I would rest Almiron, Yes, if Willock's injured, how long it would depend how Willock's injured for, so I'll rest ESM and play Fraser. Give him a run out. What's the worst you can do?
Didn't look very happy in Bournemouth, mate. I'm not sure they get the best out of him. Probably all the songs that they were singing, and they weren't very complimentary. Vince, I mean, again, you were on the panel. It didn't take me 5 minutes to get over that. I wasn't too disappointed with a 1-1 draw at Bournemouth. And, as I said on my tweet about the game, I felt Bournemouth deserved all the praise and all the credit. They came out to try to stop us, but they didn't beat us. They didn't beat us in a game. That's a game we could have lost in the past, and you nailed it. You nailed it before we came on air. Look at where we are, man, compared to where we were last season. We're way above, we're punching above our weight at the moment where we all thought would be. That's the problem. It's the expectation, of course, that if we fall out of the Champions League places and end up in the Europa League place, if we go to Wembley and we get beat off Manchester United and we don't win the cup, then, there'll be a meltdown by certain fans in our fan base, but it's not the end of the world. We'll have done well. We'll have done far better than we did under Mike Ashley, since the Pardew days.
If you sort of seen, if you took a cup final in top 8 finish, you would have grabbed it like you would have took it all year long, wouldn't you?
You told me we're going to be competing in the champion, like we're in the running for the Champions League places, and we're going to have a good run in one or both cups. I would have been over the moon, absolutely over the moon. Not getting to I wouldn't have believed it if somebody told me I'd be getting to a cup final this year. I would have said you're cracking jokes. But what's your views, Vince?
Yeah, I was the same as you, Steve. I was just over it straight away. I'm like you. I think Bournemouth had a game plan, and it worked. The managed were well. They got in, they were tough with it, got in good tackles and all that, and restricted we played, but we didn't high press. You could see that was pop and we just couldn't seem to match them in the day. And I think says half, like George has said before, half it can be in the players' mind sometimes about the final and all that, and definitely like Joe Linton. But the Joe Linton thing, yellow cards only count in the they only count in the league like you do in the cup. It's if he gets a red card, then he would be. So if he got a straight red, then he wouldn't be able to play in the final. But yellow cards. Yeah. So that's fine. But I was we're doing fantastic. There's no way in the world I thought we'd be doing this well. I knew I had faith that we'd keep the same form that we're in the second half of the season last year. How we're running that, and Eddie Howe would keep them going in that, and that's all we've done. We've bounced on from January and just kept it going, just taking it one game at a time. But it's amazing. I mean, to be in a cup final, my God, we have this opportunity here, and the people are going on about Man United. The Drew against Leeds. You've seen that? They're fallible. They're not perfect. Rashford. They haven't played a defence like ours. Unbreakable and all that. I've got hope. And then the Liverpool game in the weekend, I'm like you, Steve. Yeah, play a few players, but people are going Liverpool will beat us. Liverpool have been awful. They can't beat anyone. I think we could put a team and beat them. But no, Steve says, I was it's a point. Again, we're unbeaten. We'll continue that. And we'll just keep going. We could lose the final. We could drop out the top 4, but we could still, if we're getting to Europe anyway, that's amazing. This season, after what we've been, it's progression. It's progression. They've said it's a slow build. We're building, and that's what we're doing. We're building the team. Maybe the team is well ahead of where we thought. So you're looking at thinking, right, okay, we've all looked at the bench and thought, it needs a bit of strength, and that will happen. It just hasn't happened yet. But we are just where we're heading. Just enjoy it. There's just fans that just losing their mind and all that. But it's to me, it is just amazing. Since the takeover, the turnaround, everything is just. You look at the whole thing; it's just been absolutely amazing. We've got our club back. Under Ashley, it was an absolute nightmare. But now we've got our club back, and we're going in the right direction. So, eventually we're going to lose a game. It's going to happen. We're not invincible. Eventually we will, and That's it. But we're doing really, really well, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, Northumberland, Geordie says, we're doing great, but you have to call out poor performances, and Saturday was woeful. I'm all for calling out poor performances. And yeah, that's why I suggest that resting players is something we can do. It's all very well saying we've got a week between the cup final and, our game against Liverpool. But in all seriousness, mental tiredness, we did say that those who went to the World Cup would be potentially under some kind of stress, they would suffer some kind of reaction. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's mental stress rather than fatigue. But ultimately, Kieran Trippier, who's got such high standards, if you look back at the last 3 goals that Newcastle have conceded, which is easy because we don't concede many, then all 3 have come from, Kieran Trippier's positioning or lack of positioning from set pieces. And, you would say that he was probably unfortunate on one of those occasions, but the other 2 goals, I mean, a selection of errors on Saturday led to the goal. Dan Burn not picking up his man, Isak not picking up his man, Kieran Trippier coming off the post, not picking up his man. Simple as that, really. And that's not down to Kieran Trippier suddenly becoming a bad player overnight. That could be down to anything. It could be down to just mental tiredness. And it is the stress. Kieran Trippier's got a hell of a lot to do. He's the captain of the team, as well as being one of the best, if not the best right back in the country. And, it will not surprise me if he's feeling a little bit more pressure now than he probably did at his former club, because the weight of expectation from our fan base on this now, it's a huge positive. We know that. I don't often agree with Graham Souness, but on the TV coverage at the weekend, I heard him say, I listened to him and Dyer afterwards because I thought I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They usually can't stand Newcastle and usually slate Newcastle, but I listened to them after the game. I thought they were pretty fair, to be honest. And I thought Souness nailed it when he said the expectation here is at Newcastle is far greater than anywhere else. And that can be a massive positive, but it can also be a massive negative. And I do feel, Kieran, I might be completely wrong. This is only my opinion, so don't shoot us down. But I do genuinely feel that Kieran Trippier is probably feeling it more than anybody else, and he has to keep that within. And whatever else is going on behind the scenes, with players, there'll be ups and downs, and they've lost 2 key players in the dressing room, in Shelvey and Chris Wood. They haven't been able to bring in a midfielder. He's having to integrate Anthony Gordon into the setup as a captain. Isak's coming back from injury. Wilson's, Wilson went on a bit of a goal drought. All of these things affect not just the manager and the coaching staff, but they do affect the captain as well. And I just think maybe just that little rest for him at the weekend against Liverpool will do him the world of good. And I'm sure Eddie Howe will have a chat with him and say, look, this isn't a reflection on performances. This is about making sure that you're 150% right for Wembley. He'll have that conversation. I've got no doubt Kieran Trippier will say, I don't want to rest Gaffer. And that'll be what happens. But he's got to look at it. Barry, good evening, mate. I'm not very often I talk on this program, but when I've got something to when I've got something to say, I do like to speak. So what's your thoughts on reflection of the weekend, Barry?
You've got it right. I think you've got to sort of weigh up how important these games are. I think for me, the Scouse game and obviously the Manx is payback. That's what's going to do us some damage. We owe one for the last game. The VAR rulings that should never have had. I can imagine our players being really up for it and want to turn them over. As we've just said, they're not in the greatest of form. They're there for the taking. It's probably the worst time to play them before the cup final, because out of anybody else, they're the one team that we really do owe somebody one for the way they played against us the last time. And on top of that, we've got Man United. I mean, you're the same age as me, Steve, but the humiliation we suffered in the 3 cup final, the 2 cup finals in the semi-final, late 90s, early 2000s, including the Manx, we will want to just destroy them if at all possible. I think that you're right. There's going to be so much pressure on these players, and we haven't got a squad that's got that experience. I mean, I was running through it last night thinking there's Trippier, who's been at that sort of level. Bruno, who's been at that sort of level. Who else in the team's played in cup finals? Who else has got that behind them where they know how to behave leading up to something that's that cauldron of pressure? I couldn't think of anybody else in the team who's actually been at that level. So you're like, Howe certainly hasn't. He's never had that experience before as a manager. So you've got that added thing as well. I'm torn, Steve. I totally understand what you're saying. Is rest a few people. The cup final is more important, but I would love to beat the Scousers. Just for what they did to us, I would love to turn them out. As Keegan once said, I would love it if we beat them. I really would. So I'm really stuck. I understand what George was saying the other day about the young'uns. You know, give the young'uns a run out. There's 2 or 3 there who are biting on the thing. Gordon's got to play from the start because he's cup ties. Will not make the final team.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if you have talked about the injury, Steve. Whether there's any more updates on
nothing at the moment, and it is a bit early. I mean, the aftermatch interview with Eddie Howe confirmed what we all feared when we did Match Day Live, which was that Willock's is probably going to be the one that is going to be the longest. I would imagine that's Willock's dreams of a cup final at Wembley gone for this season. But there's no confirmation of that one way or another, and I wouldn't expect to hear anything until Thursday, Friday for definite. But things will be released by the club, I'm sure, and it's a crying shame if somebody does miss the final because of that. But one man's agony is another player's gain. So
Willock's
wait
probably the one who's replaceable, though, isn't he? That sounds really harsh, but we've got players who can do what Willock does.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not that I doubt for 1 minute that Bruno was going to get a place in the cup final squad, but it's an easy shoe in, isn't it? Let's face it. But let's see, George. Good evening.
Hello, Steve.
Good to see you, mate.
And you. I mean, I got over the disappointment of Saturday very quickly as well, and now that I've seen bits more of the game that I could see with these bloody eyes of mine, I'm even more not happy about it, but understand it more. Isaac will never get 2 easier chances than the 2 he missed at Bournemouth on Saturday. And 99 games out of 100, he'd stick one of them away, if not both of them. And so we see the better ASM on Saturday. There was improvements there. But when you look at the match statistics, really, they're overwhelmingly in our favour. And remember, we're away from home. We're not the home side. 60-odd% against 30-odd%. That's what we used to do to other teams last year and the year before. And even worse, when Rafa was the manager, we could get away with 20-odd% and still come away with the result. So, the Bournemouth thing's in the back of my memory now. And it's a game, yes, we should have won, but the important thing is we didn't lose. I only got one concern about the Liverpool game, and that is the impact of defeats on teams can be far more severe than people imagine, and especially a team that hasn't been beat yet, a team with a defence that's got the best defence in the league. They'll not want to give that up easily. And if we're going to do some changes, as I said the other night, I wouldn't be unhappy at seeing young what's his name get on the team, Anderson get in the team from the start, and Isaac, of course, I think will be in anyway, and Gordon must start in my view, because alone he'll want to beat the Scousers on his own. I mean, he'll be kicking them in the tunnel, I would suspect, before they even get on the pitch. Gordon's got to go on. But after that, I would limit the changes very, very gently. I wouldn't leave Trippier out at all. His role as a captain is so important. What I might do is if we can get a goal or even 2 goals ahead, then think about some changes then. But I wouldn't want us to lose against Liverpool. It's far too important a game for me. Even though I want to win the cup, but I'm a greedy little duck and want everything. I'd be inclined to try 1 or 2 of the youngers if he wants to do some changes, and have the more experienced guys on the bench just in case. That's a possibility. But no, I wouldn't want to lose on Saturday if I could help it.
I don't want to lose either. I just want to protect our players, because I personally feel.
I understand that. But the impact of impact of a bad result could be worse than anything could happen on the field, in my view.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Opinions, George. Kevin, good evening.
Evening, lads.
You've heard what everyone else has had to say, mate. So what's your view?
We've covered it quite well, to be honest. But no, it took me a while to get over it, to be honest. It's just a frustration level because I stood and watched it with the family and whatnot. But again, it was just one of those, I agree with George with the possession state against statistics in the game. You could have all of that again, but again, it's putting the ball back in the net. But the tempo of our play was dire. It was so slow from side to side. Yes, they played a mid to a low block, and I'm getting coachy again, but that's what they did, and they've done it very well. They had a bit more of a tempo when they broke, and we left large gaps where Bruno would play or whatever. And they didn't. I don't think they knew who was going to be playing in the number 6. I think they got confused because you've seen Joe Linton in there, and then you've seen Sean Longstaff in there. Typically, it would just be Bruno, but I thought we coped well with that. But if when we I just wrote it down here. When we changed, it looked like we went to a 4-2-3-1 when Gordon came on. We looked a lot better because that allowed 2 to sit and they knew their role, or a 4-4-1-1, whatever you want to call it. But when Gordon came on, that changed the way we played and dealt with them a little bit better. Settled their goal was again, like we've mentioned, terrible defending. But one thing what we haven't mentioned is when you said about mental fatigue. Kieran Trippier, by the way, was saving that ball on the line by literal millimeters to potentially go 2-1 down. So yes, there's mental fatigue, but again, it's individual errors that really cost us in that game, to be honest. Because I thought, again, agree with a lot of lads that we controlled it. We're unbeaten for 17, which is fantastic. But and we're sitting here discussing turning draws into wins, which is a nice thing. That's the thing. Can you? Yes, we can draw, but again, can we show that bit of quality I just didn't think we had? And I don't think, again, we've discussed previously and on other shows that Isak's not a back to goal striker. I've seen that against two big centre halves, just bossing them around the field. When he was dropping deep and running the players, he looked. That's a more fit thing to do. So it's going to be interesting against Liverpool. We'll see. I wouldn't make wholesale changes. I would make maybe Willock's the obvious one. Bring Gordon in. That's obvious. Now it depends on Maxie's injury because that looked a bit soft and he didn't seem like he wanted to be on the pitch for me. I think he just wanted to get off as quickly as he could. But again, that's my opinion. You could just tell when he landed, it was like, oh, that's me done. I want to get off. So that's just. Again, the sign of the player for me. Does he want to actually be on the field of play versus off the field of play? So that's going to be an interesting one for him. How does he go around about doing that? Does he play Gordon on the left? Does he play him in the midfield like he did against Bournemouth when he brought him on? So again, there's a lot of questions for Eddie Howe to make again, and this is what he gets paid for. And if we can sit here all day and start about who's going to play where, what. At the end of the day, it's up to him. So we'll have to see. But I'd love to go and beat the Scousers and the Manx in the space of 10 days, to be honest. I think so. Again, with the recovery of players and things like that, we've got a game a week. So there should be, with the methodology and the periodization, what it's called, they should be able to, mentally and physically recover. I understand from what Steve said about resting players, yes, I agree. But again, it's how you do it and how your recovery process is. So we'll just see what injury reports come out, how he approaches the Liverpool game, because I think he wants to get one over on him just because of what happened down there. So we'll see what happens.
Bournemouth didn't cause us any real problems, but our creativity was very poor, said David. And Geordie Tumberlife says, Steve, I know you think some of our players are knackered. How will most of them cope with Europe on top of the cup games and domestic competitions? Look at Man U and the number of games they play. That's a problem for another season. And we'll have another transfer window. Joe Linton was wasted playing the Bruno role, says Clint. Go on, George.
I've had second thoughts about ASM's injury, mind. I was quite harsh about him on Saturday, like some of you lads were thinking he was just keen to get off because he time was up for him. I've got a feeling, having watched him come down a couple of times on the telly now, with get as close as I can. It's one of those things that sometimes when you land badly, even it looked like a soft landing.
Yeah.
If you nip your cartilage or nip a tendon, that can be really, really painful, and I suspect that's what's happened to him. So I I'm not quite as harsh as I was on Saturday. The other thing is that the other thing I seen would obviously doing match day live. I couldn't because I didn't have a live feed. Longstaff's run for the goal for the equaliser was incredible.
Yeah.
He ran nearly 60 yards to get on the end of that ball, and didn't he? Well, I mean, the goalkeeper was really, really lucky to get his hands on it. So a little bit more of that from Sean Longstaff, and he could be fulfilling the bit that that Bruno doesn't give, because he's a positive player for me. So anyway, I just 2 points from Saturday, which I picked up having watched the thing rather than just listening to it.
No, it's good points. Good points to make as well. Steve Middleman says, Man U rotate more than we do and have better overall quality players. Jody Tumalay says, I agree with Kevin. I don't think ASM was injured. I think, if anything, he was tired. That's all. Like I've said, many a team, not just our players, they need to bloody man up. And performing well and beating Liverpool on Saturday will be a great tonic for the final. Full strength side needed, says Sean. That's what it's all about, Sean. Opinions. We're always happy to take everyone's opinions on the show. Halfway through, here come the ads. Thanks as always to our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to Blowhole Brewery. You can find them at blowholebrewery.co.uk. Beers brewed on the River Tyne. And thanks to United Group Travel Limited, UK Coach Holidays, based in Morpeth, telephone 01670 362 460. And mobile 07957 141 654. Graham, your driver, Beverly answering your calls, looking after you on your tour. Thanks also to 3 Property, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the North East. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give the guys a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wales and Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, nufcmatters.com. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the videos and the technology side of things. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button underneath the video today. Hit the thumb up to like the channel and click share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and the rest. If you want to become a member, you pay a £25 one-off fee, and you can go to the website, nufcmatters.com, and find membership pack, or put your smartphone over the QR code and it will take you straight there. If you subscribe, we do give you a free car sticker. All you need to do is email john@nufcmatters.com and he'll post you one out. We also support the food bank on this channel, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. You'll find the match day bucket where you can make a virtual donation. We've also got some events coming up over the next couple of months. First off, we've got an evening with Steve Howie at the Tyneside Irish Centre, Friday the 24th of February. Tickets are available from our website, nufcmatters.com, and they are priced £15, not $50, as you can see on the poster. An evening with Nobby Solano is also at the Tyneside Irish Centre, Saturday the 25th of March. Tickets are £15. Book now at nufcmatters.com. And an evening with Frank Clark and John Gibson, Thursday the 20th of April, again at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are £15 and you book now at nufcmatters.com. Supermac and John Gibson will also be at Felon Cricket Club on the 16th of February. To buy tickets for that, contact the venue direct. We've got a whole host of t-shirts available from our website, nufcmatters.com. Gives you plenty of ideas for presents, for birthdays, anniversaries, you name it. Get your Anthony Gordon t-shirts and your Wembley t-shirts today. He's good, that lad who does the adverts. I'd love to meet him. Steve Middleman says, that's what I was on about, George, on Saturday, mate, about ASM's injury, jarring his knee. Yep, that's fair enough. Jules says, interesting to see reports investors are linked to the Qatari royal family due to put a bid in to buy Manchester United this week. I assume the same level of outrage will follow after our takeover, and Rachel agrees that's highly unlikely to happen. Good evening to Rico, who is a big Everton fan, joins us every now and then. He'll be hoping for 3 points tonight. And thank you very much for Anthony Gordon, mate. BT says, Alan St-Maximin is a knee injury. I don't think it's too bad. It was just a knock. He's currently being assessed and is 50-50 to start on Saturday. And Bentancur is out with a ruptured ACL, and his looked like just a knock. So, yeah, lots of speculation, but nothing confirmed as yet about ESM. Players are cautious regarding bookings and injuries with the Cup and get back to winning ways, whilst the others are in Europe. And who knows, says Tim Cairns. Burn was exposed more than ASM in front when J7 was there previously. Gordon's work rate suggests the left side stronger, in my opinion, says David Cook. And Geordie Toomalive says, Man U have the same number of players in their squad. Man U are not blessed with great players. They might have a few bigger names, but McFred, Maguire, Garnacho, Sancho, to mention a few, they aren't superstars. There's nothing to be worried about with Manchester United. And we'll look at that on next week's show, but there is nothing to be worried about. We've already played them this season. We drew 0-0. So that's it. But let's go with a question, Vince, and you've taken pole position, Vince. So it's up to you. What's people's views about our attacking down the right-hand side? Do you think Trippier slows the build-up too much and lets their team get back in position? I wish he'd beat a man and get a cross in. What's your thoughts on that? Should Kieran Trippier be bombing up that touchline a bit more?
He has been, hasn't he? I don't know. I don't know what
he does for corners. He does for corners and free kicks, but no, he's not really somebody who
overlaps.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah, but he's one of our older players as well. Like he wants to do. He's a defender. He's a right back. That's what he's going to be mainly thinking defensively. But he does get up. He does he links well with Mickey. He knows he can play the ball in behind. He runs up. He does cut in sometimes. He does. He has made runs sometimes, but he just doesn't do it all the time. Like says, he has got a defensive job to do, and we're like says, people aren't beating him because of how strong our defense is. So I would say that's working. Like when he's doing his job, but he is like says he's plenty of Mickey. Like he doesn't do it all the time, but I see that he does do it. Like says we're just like says I think that like says the defense record speaks for itself. So like says so he is doing the right thing. Like he's covering back. Like says, but he's not young. He can't keep on bombing up and down all the time. He's gonna get tired. So he knows he's limited to what he can do. He's got to cut back. He's got to cover. So like says so. Yeah, like I mean, you'd like to see it all the time and all that, but he's got a job to do and he does it. Like says, that's a young man. I mean, this young is it Ashby?
Yeah,
that we bought. Yeah, like says he's supposed to be in the same vein. I think he takes set pieces in that as well, and he's coming. I like this what he said about how he's great to be here. He wants to learn off Trippier and stuff like that as well. So we've got a young and underneath him as well, who looks quite good and quite. Like capable of that as well, but yeah, like says Trippier is doing his job. Like says so, like says, but like says there's someone saying there it's got sussed. Like says, yes, they've been a bit slow, but like says they just need to pass a bit quicker, like they used to be. They're not doing that before January. They're doing it for some reason. They're not doing it now, but they were doing it. It's to me, it's down to passing and all that. He's got a job to do as well defensively. If he went up and Zabi whinging, if he was caught up all the time and wasn't back, Mickey helps him out, covers him that as well. So it's fine to me.
Yeah, I mean, David Cook says we've been sussed. We're a bit more predictable down the right-hand side. Kevin, would you agree with him?
I wouldn't say sussed. I would say, and just to the original question, the switcher play from left to right will from Kevin Trippier's point of view would be, we call it overloads. So Miggy will get wide early. Kieran Trippier will receive the ball, play it into Miggy, then he'll just support him behind him. If he gets too close to him, then that can't happen. The combination play can't happen. But if he does do an overlap, then he'll do an overlap. It all depends on the moment of what happens. So he's got to be. Kieran Trippier is very clever in terms of how he defends. Plus, again, like mentioned, that you have to have your defensive responsibility first. So if you go flying forward and you will lose the ball in whatever way, then they can counter and go down that at their left-hand side, which will expose and stretch our back three, which would be a back three. So for me, when he does that, he just drops off and he can deliver a ball from a deeper area. Yes, I was a wide player and I love players getting down the outsides and whipping balls in from the end byline, of course you do, but at the same time, he hasn't got that. Well, he not hasn't got the pace, but he's lacking of pace, if you will, and he has to recover 80 yards just to get back into position. Miggy done that for him very well, and he recovered well for him, and just because that's what Miggy does. But for me, I don't think we're being sus. I think, and I agree. I think it's the movement of the ball, and I think it's how quickly we do it. It seemed like Saturday nobody could have a proper first touch. The ball was just bouncing off of everybody. It was like coming off a brick wall. So I think that didn't help, and I think their mid to low block didn't help as well. So yes, you could say sus, but I just think teams are being very disciplined defensively and just letting us move and staying in a structured position. But I think obviously on his day, we've all seen it. You can deliver a ball from anywhere. So I haven't got that big of a problem with it at all, to be perfectly honest. My bigger concern is the left side. So there's the other flip side of the argument. Dan Burn does the same thing. Maxi goes and drives forward, but Dan Burn, yes, he again hasn't got the pace to get round him. And it happened a couple of times on the left side where Maxi again was coming too close to receive the ball.
And Dan Burn can't cross the ball to save his life. That's why it's all the time on the right hand side, because Trippier can cross the ball, and you see most of the game. Yeah. You see Mickey and Trippier linking up and cross it in.
Exactly.
The left hand side, you can't see Dan Burn. You hit the nail on the head. You can't see Dan Burn going past, say, Willick or Maxi crossing the ball, because he's vulnerable to get back.
But he'd be there in a support like 10 yards, 15 yards just off of him, which what he's supposed to do. But I agree that he can't get. He scored against Leicester from an underlap, to be honest. But that's another thing, different thing. It is what it is. So
you don't see him go to the byline crossing in like Trippier does. You know what I mean? When you see Dan Burn at the byline crossing it, because he knows he can't cross the ball.
Yep. So again, it's not a big concern, but again, it's just the movement of the ball's got to be better, and the quality of delivery in the end, the final third's got to be better. Pretty much.
Yeah. Good point by Kirk there. Darren says Trippier's final third stats are immense. He's one of the best right backs in the world. And Bill says the problem is everyone knows our best route is down the right, which is what Kevin was saying. The left needs to improve. Daz also picks up on the set pieces, which I've mentioned on here a couple of times. He says the two needs to work on set pieces. I've lost count of the corners that we wasted in the last game, something which we mentioned in commentary. And Steve Middlemas says the last few games we have been predictable in attacking. Do we need to mix it up rather than attacking down the sides all of the time? So, yeah, Darren, lots of opinions about it. I mean, for me, Kieran Trippier, I just think, as I said at the top of the program, I just think, he's going to be tired, mentally and physically. I just think he needs a rest. I do think that the right is more predictable. I do think the left could be changed. And I do agree with Steve. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, trying some other ways, to just mix it up a bit. I think it's probably the best thing to do.
Sorry, Steve, but that would be dependent on the team that you're playing against.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So it all depends on what the coaching staff is, analytics, things like that. So, but I agree. But just from that point of view as well, it depends who you play. Liverpool will be completely different. You never know.
Yeah, need a plan B, don't we, Darren?
Yep.
Yeah, like I do agree. You see, we need to shake things up. But if Eddie Howe's going to see the Trippier, do you want to rest, or I'm going to rest you? Trippier said, "No, I want to play. I'm fit. I'm playing. You might want to play." He's a professional footballer, which like Trippier is. He doesn't want to be dropped. He wants to play every game as he shows. He's committed and playing every game. But that's the trouble you've got. We all know, we feel you need to rest, but will you want to rest? Will you want to play? Yes. If anything, I would rest Dan Burn. And I would give Lewis a run out, see what he can do. I would play. I do agree Trippier needs a rest, but I would rest Dan Burn because he looks more knackered on the left hand side, especially if against Liverpool. Our Newcastle weakness is on the left hand side. What Bournemouth did, didn't it? Every long ball, they play over the top towards Dan Burn. So if Liverpool got pace on the right hand side, Dan Burn's going to be a bit dubious. So,
well, they have Salah. Actually, so.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So like that's why I'm a bit weak to see on Dan Burns on natural left. But I know Eddie House he's made it his position, but we're not football lads. Like he looks a little bit lost, doesn't he? He's too afraid to go past your Maxi or your Willock to cross the ball in dead board situation. You never see him do that. That's why both attacking is on the right hand side.
Yeah, Barry, what's your views?
It's. I mean, my thing. The reason we're going down either the right hand side or the left hand side is basically because we've lost our most creative player in the middle, who for me decides which way we're going to go. Once Bruno's back in the team, we will mix it up. The ball will be flying backwards and forwards. I've seen him ping balls from the centre of the pitch right across the far side, either side of left or right. Doesn't really matter. We haven't got him in midfield, so we're having to resort to other options. I think it's hard on Burn because I think for me, for the cup final, especially, he will be one of the first names on the sheet for me. Born and bred, Geordie. Yes, he might have looked a bit tired. I think the defence is getting stick when they're not really doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've let in 2-3 goals in the last 2 or 3 games. I mean, how weird. It's like it's still you look at what they've done this season. It's like how weird, for God's sake. I mean, yeah, Trippier, what was there? He's made 3 mistakes in the last 2 or 3 games. How many mistakes has he made all season? We're now halfway through the season. He's probably made about 6. You know what I mean? At most for the half the season. Say, he's just the guy's incredible. Yes, he might not be the quickest thing on 2 legs, but that's why you've got Miggy in front of him, who is. You know, if we do the same with Burn and you put Gordon in front of him, Burn's going to have that option. He hasn't got it with ASM because ASM's a different type of player. I think I get what Steve's saying about them being tired. I just think how many games these guys play, they should be so up for it. I mean, they must feed off the fans, especially the Scouts game at home. The fans should gel them up so much. They should be raring to go. I know there's a stressful side to it, but this defense has done class all season. I can't believe they're going to let us down now. I think we're just missing that one piece in midfield, which is it's causing issues for the rest of the team because we're having to rely on other options because we haven't got that playmaker, if you like, the old style playmaker in the centre. But I'm praying like mad that we get through the Liverpool game, whatever the score is, without losing, and then Bruno's back for Man United because I think that's when we'll start to click again.
George, lots of debate, really.
Absolutely.
Anton Mackay put this up before, really thinking attacking-wise, Burn is costing us. He's a centre-back playing full-back. It's not what Eddie Howe thinks. And although normally defensively better with him, I thought he was poor on Saturday. Little FB says, last home game, Miggy ran into spaces, but several times Trips changed the direction of play. I could see Miggy getting frustrated, looking weak on the left-hand side, only when ASM is playing. And Simon Davies says, agreed on Dan Burn. I'd rest ASM or Miggy if there's any doubt at all. I'd play Richie, Sean and Anderson over J7 to save him for the final. And I just reckon the team needs tiny adjustments, says Kirk. The games we have drawn, we have created enough to win. We also had 79 points robbed of us by VAR earlier in the season. Lots of comments coming in, George, tonight. It's good debate.
Yeah, and it is a good debate. However, I've got to say, I hope Kieran Trippier's not watching this podcast. Vince has got him too old, and the rest of you don't think he needs a rest. How are you, man? He's
I do. I think he should be rested.
He's still the best right back in the country.
I'm not saying
look at all the statistics that you can. And the last thing certainly the last thing he would want even if the manager had offered it to him was to miss Saturday against Liverpool. I'd be very surprised if he's one of the ones missing. Yes, we need adjustments, but for the early part of the season, I mean, everybody says, "Oh, well, Eddie Howe made Miggy and all this sort of thing." Having Kieran Trippier behind him helped Miggy as well, but also Bruno. I mean, some of the 1-2 balls with Bruno were out of this world, and we're missing them badly. So I'm still up for certainly defending the defence. Dan Burn got attacked on Saturday because that was what Bournemouth decided to do. And as I said, after Saturday, it's noticeable that he's less comfortable when ESM's on that left side. There's no doubt about it. But we're still the best defence in the Premiership. You know, don't let's forget that. So yeah, there's lots of theory and all the rest of it. This issue about whether Dan Burn's a centre half, whether he's a left back, I'm inclined to go with what Eddie Howe says. If he's convinced he's his left back, then fine, that'll do me. And I have to say, I played centre half at school until right to county level. But when I went to Newcastle United, I hardly got in the door when somebody said, "You're not big enough for a centre half," and that was the end of my centre half days. I became a left back or a right back. And then we got a manager called Minton who ended up putting us in midfield. So, all these things happened to players, but I think there's more to Dan Burn than just what people are saying about the moment. I think teams they haven't sussed with teams are just working harder because they know what to expect a little bit, and that means we have to just. I think Kevin's right about the playing it quicker. We seem to have slowed the ball down a little bit to what we were doing earlier on. Now I think if we could get that pace back on the press and on how we play the ball, we would be back to our best. I wouldn't interfere with the back four at all.
Burn has been getting forward with Joe Linton and Willock in front. Bruno getting sent off has caused us loads of problems. We can't rest midfield or up front now.
That's true.
Jules says we've almost created this rod for our own back by having been so strong so far. So even the slightest downward thing seems so amplified. We'll be fine. Paul Rocket points out that Liverpool have got Real Madrid on Tuesday, so they might take European Cup as a priority. Bill just says Trippier is fantastic. Geordie Toomba Life says Trippier's not tired. He's as fit as a butcher's dog. Come on, lads, and smell the coffee. And little FB says, Miggy covers Trippier. ASM doesn't cover Burn. Don't upset Steve Middleman's mind. Alan says 5 games. Bruno has been missing. 1 defeat, 4 draws. It's a big reason. Bruno sending off for scandalous, says Bill. Sparky D says Trippier showed his class with a goal line clearance. Yeah, worth mentioning that. Anton Mackay says, I understand the Burn argument and he can do a job at full back. I agree on that. But with ASM in front, he gets caught 1-1 more and more and gets done for pace a lot more. Willock and Joel help him. And Bruno will be chomping at the bit. Man, you beware. You're right there, Bill. I mean, look, Matt Targett won't, I would imagine, make the final, Vince. But, with this debate now between him and Dan Burn, do you think you'll get a chance? Would you like to see Matt Targett get in? I've got to be honest, then watch NUFC Matters back from when we signed Matt Targett and that season that he kept us up with the rest of the players. He was my first choice. He was my player of the season last season. So for me, I would give him a shot back in there. But I just genuinely feel this is the first big test. This is the first big test that Howe has had with the squad. And he came out and specifically confirmed that Dan Burn to him is a left back. Maybe you can say that he is, and George says he's working with him on a day-to-day basis. But for me, Matt Targett's a left back, and Matt gives you that option, like Trippier does, of bombing forward, which is what Dan Burn can't do.
Yeah, like I said, for me, Matt Targett that's what he is. He's a left back. He was like player of the season. Like I said, but before we even got him like this, and then he came, And my God, his positioning sense, his reading of the game is brilliant. Like, watch him sometimes. I remember there was one game, like, I think it was against Manu when he was back on the line next to Dubravka because he knew the shot was coming in. And clear, he was just his positional sense, but yet, like, he does get up and attack as well. To me, Target is a better left back, and when he's fit, you've like this again, like if he comes through, like this, and if he does well in training and all that, then how's gonna like have to have a look at it. But for me, Target is better. Like, that's his position. Byrne is playing there now. He's had to because like we've been short. Lewis has just not been good enough. Dan Burns, big and strong. I mean, the defence has done well with him in. Yes, like they've kept clean sheets and all that. But for me, Target is a better left back. That's his position. That's what he is. I think is where Eddie Howe saying Burns. Yeah, he's made that position well. He is playing well as a left back. To me, he is a centre half playing left back. That's what he was. Kevin, he done brilliantly for playing centre half. Then he was forced out because Target was injured, so we had to play someone there. And he's like, you can, his passion, Geordie, you can tell he leaves his heart and soul on the pitch. And it's a bit hard to go like Dan Burn or like yes, he had a bit of a bad game. People have slumps. It's natural. His players aren't perfect. Have all bad games and whatnot. I love Dan Burn now. But for me, Target he is a left back. He's a better left back.
Kevin, it's an interesting debate. Is he a better left back, do you think? I mean, somebody pointing out in the chat there, he didn't have a greatest of starts to the season. David Cook saying that.
I mean, yeah, but then he got ill, then he's had injuries. There's been injury plague. So, you can only do what he has been able to do with the minutes that he's had. But yeah, I agree. I think he is a better left back, to be perfectly honest. I just think, like Vincent said, his positional sense is a lot better. It's like here and Trippier on the other side, but with a better left peg. So I think time's against him for a final. I think time's again depends on his ability to get fit again. But I know we know how the coaching staff get players back in gradually. But me and Keegan's here with me, and we've just been I muted my mic and we've been talking about it. And he's been writing down about the Liverpool game, and we've discussed it. Would you go with 3? And would you go to Byrne, Shaw, Botman? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because just again, then you could be higher up and things like that in a different sense, and you just throw. I'm just throwing the cat amongst the pigeons, to be honest, and just creating another debate. But at the same time, in terms of resting players, so you can do whatever with that shape and formation. So you just put it on to Liverpool, how you're going to break that down and put other players elsewhere. But yeah, so I think my target is a better left back than Dan Burn. I think Dan Burn's again, they isolate him very well, and he gets too disconnected from his other centre from Botman, and he'll create a lot of space 9 times out of the 10. But again, the one big thing, if they do go long over the top, he's got height. So again, it's a decision for Eddie Howe. And again, we talked about it earlier about set plays. You can go the other way, but we haven't scored from a set play for, it seems, I don't know for how long. But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Okay, what's your views, Darren?
Kind of agree with Kev. It'll be hard for Newcastle to change the formation because they've played the formation from the start, the 4-3-3, what he's played. And I'm not a fan of the straight at the back. I never have been. But
I just chucked it out. There. Just
I know, but I just can't personally. It takes time to get a new formation drilled into your team. Do you know what I mean?
All right. Oh, no.
You can't just, in my opinion, you can't just come to a match and play straight at the back in the fire. It'll be hard for the players to adapt it so quick, and they've never tried it once all season long. I do think Target's a better left back 100%. He's got a much better left peg, but I think Eddie Howe's loyal, and I think Dan Burn will play left back for the remainder of the season unless he gets injured.
Okay, Barry.
I disagree. I think the problem you've got is they're 2 different players. One's an attacking fullback, which is your target, and Dan Burns your old style left back Excellent in the tackle, good at covering, but not the sort to bomb up and down. I'd rather. I think it's irrelevant to some extent because Targett's not going to be fit for another 3 or 4 games at least before he starts getting back into the squad. So I think Burns your automatic choice. I mean, I was quickly looking there to see if Ashby can play on both sides or whether he's just a specific right back, because that might have been a different option if he can play attacking fullback in the meantime. I love Dan Burn to bits. I know he's having a rough time of it, but I just don't know how much of it is down to him. I think it's down to the players around him. And I'm not going to, with Steve Middlemis's comments on the screen, I'm not going to mention any names, but I think it's down to the players around him, not so much what Burns doing wrong. And there's no way in hell I'm telling Dan Burn that he's being dropped from the side either.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Byrne will keep his place after hearing Eddie Howe last week at the press conference. I genuinely look at Steve Middlemis's comments there and thinking Lewis and Dummett are never going to get a chance, Steve. I cannot see that. Bill says, sorry, Alan, but having played for over 20 years, that was okay. Bruno went with the ball and the player, but his leg got in the way, just talking about the challenge from...
it was a red card all day long, that, 100%.
Yeah, Bruno challenge was a red all day. Lots of people debating that. What about the left back discussion, though, for you, George?
Well, I'm with you. If a fit back Target is the best left back we've got in the club, no doubt about that. I couldn't believe, for example, how lucky we were to get him, with Aston Villa paying 20-odd million for that numpty from Everton and letting Matt Target go. No, I would. Every day, a fit Matt Target would be my left back. There's no question about that. And like you, towards the end of last year, I thought he could easily have been the player of the season. He was so good. It's just regrettable that he's got into this spiral of injuries and illness. And I mean, we've got to be realistic. He's not going to appear for a while yet. So it's not a real debate about Saturday or the cup final for me. But pressed, I would say, yeah, Dan. Matt Target is the best left back in the club, and I don't think just attacking because he goes down, it gets forward more. I think his defensive qualities are excellent as well. And I mean, earlier in the season, I couldn't help but notice when we played the Spanish team in the friendly, Matt Target got credited with an own goal. But if you look at the way the other defenders went around him and said, forget it, even the goalkeeper, it's not your fault. You can see what they were saying. And they clearly, too, think McTarget's a good left back. So, yeah, if he was fit and the Matt Target of back end of last year, no question he would be in my team. However, what a fantastic deputy to have in somebody like Dan Burn, who can not just fill in at left back, but if pressed, could fill in right across the back four. And there's another one which nobody's mentioned, but Kevin says he throws something in to spice things up. Well, I'm going to throw something else in. Kieran Trippier quite often played left back for Madrid, and played very well. So let's have young Ashby on the right and Kieran Trippier on the left if you want to shift Dan Burn. But I've already said I'm not for shifting that back forward unless we've really got to.
Yeah, and why would we at this moment in time when they're playing so well? But hey, that's been a cracking night. Great debates and done well. And Keegan's made an appearance. How are you, son?
Good.
Very good.
Well
done on your tournament win the other week. By the way, young man, you did well.
He doesn't play. He didn't play now. He's too old.
Oh, he's too old. All right. Was he there supporting you? Was he coaching with you?
Wasn't there? No, we got him on winter break over here, so he's off for the full week, like a random winter break that they have in the middle of a start.
You saying your son is past it?
You said no. He's just if we've been an eligible player. Dock 3 points before we started, Barry.
Oh, don't go down that route.
Exactly. To do sometimes you got them signed on the dotted line. Sometimes you never know what you got to do.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, enjoy the Merseyside derby tonight. Let's hope Everton get a win tonight. For me, I know a lot of people probably won't want to see Everton win, but I'd love to see them beat Liverpool. I've got to be perfectly honest.
I would like personally. Come on the blue.
Yeah, great
good to
stuff.
see us, lads.
Take care. Good night,
Good
everybody. I'm
boys.
back,
Good to
Bye.
see you, lads. Good to see you.
Bye bye.
I'm
Bye.
back 10 o'clock in the morning with Ross Gregory. Take care.
Bye.